Education pods, pandemic pods, micro schools, whatever you want to call it. These pods are the latest trend in education as most schools continue with virtual learning in the fall. So what are they? Are they a good idea for your kids? And how do you find the right one? WMAR 2 News' Megan Knight walks us through it.
When COVID-19 first shut everything down, the Crosby family, like most of us, found themselves all working and learning from home. But it quickly became apparent Tyrone and Maisha's son Theo, a kindergartner at the time, just wasn't into remote learning.
And he didn't get the attention that he deserved and needed. And we tried to break up our schedule so we could be attentive to him. But he actually really hated it. He did not like online learning.
So when they found out Baltimore City schools would be at least starting the fall semester with virtual learning, they began looking into options to improve Theo's learning experience. They came across education pods, also known as pandemic pods or micro schools. One place they looked into was Gymnastics, a tutoring service founded by educator Kimberly Gant.
Just to provide parents another option for supporting their children's online learning.
Gant offers different types of what she calls enrichment pods on her website. These pods are meant to supplement, not replace a school district's virtual curriculum. The pods are made up of just a few students, all in the same grade level, that can meet once, twice, or more a week, either face-to-face or virtually.
And that's providing them support in, the core subjects, providing them enrichment, and maybe in some instances, some reteaching opportunities on skills that you just see that they're not necessarily picking up because they don't have the face-to-face with their teachers or the actual resources to manipulate like in their household.
And these pods have exploded in popularity since the start of the pandemic, but critics argue one downside is the cost can price out families who simply can't afford it. Professor Annette Anderson, Deputy Director of the Center for Safe and Healthy Schools at Johns Hopkins University, says the pods can expose educational inequalities.
Unfortunately, it can have the impact of being exclusionary. So the concern that a lot of educators have about pandemic pods is that it will exclude by the very nature of choosing students who are going to be together, children, particularly children who are most vulnerable and at risk of learning loss.
Anderson says even though the pods are a new trend and not much is known about the impact they'll have on a child's education, she is encouraged to see parents taking the initiative.
I'm thrilled to see that parents are so invested in their children's education. We are seeing across the country that parents are driving the conversation about education.
After a lot of research and consideration, the Crosbys found a pod they believe will be best for both Theo's needs and their work responsibilities.
So the first thing is our son's safety and health. I think for every parent that's looking into pods, the first thing you're looking at is continuous safety and health of your child. This is something that we're doing for him because we know this is what's best for our child.
And Professor Anderson does have a few things that parents should consider before you enroll your child in an education pod. The big thing is to make sure that you and the families within the pod are all doing quarantine in the same way. In fact, the Crosby family suggests that you all sign a social or moral agreement just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Also, figure out what you will do if someone in your pod does become sick. Do background checks on the people who will be tutoring or supervising your child, and also think about the content and who's going to be doing the planning when it comes to what your pod will be focusing on academically. We have more tips on things to consider, plus how to go about finding an education pod. It's all on our website at WMAR2news.com. I'm Megan Knight for WMAR 2 News.